Each bold leap forward was achieved by those willing to do anything to attain it.
Narration.
Some for discovery, to see the unknown. Others for a new start.
And the developers really didn't want to deal with the headache of figuring out which ending from Mass Effect 3 to go with. Is there any point to colonizing a new galaxy when most of the Milky Way remains unexplored? This is like trying to colonize Mars shortly after discovering the Americas. This game ignores its own canon in regards to faster-than-light space travel. Spaceships in Mass Effect can only travel faster than light under their own power for a short duration, and required mass relays for long journeys inside our own galaxy. Yet the Ark spends 634 years traveling to the Andromeda galaxy without a mass relay. Andromeda is 2.5 million light-years from Earth, meaning they were traveling an average of 3,943 times the speed of light to arrive there in the time they did. You may be a bit off course. You are clearly still outside the Andromeda galaxy. I think it's safe to say that this is one Mass Effect game that won't be seeing much Rule 34 porn.
After discovering an unusually high ratio of potential candidates, or golden worlds, the Helios cluster was selected as our destination.
Somehow we image those worlds from their surface back on Earth in the Milky Way. Science is magic.
Word came down. The Pathfinder wants you all mission ready within the hour.
Why doesn't Asari have an English accent? Hi, I'll be the human male teammate you never used past the first mission.
Good morning, Sarah. Are you feeling well?
And I'll be the AI that is far less interesting than Edie.
I don't like the sound of that.
I wouldn't either. You're on a ship in the middle of space. Anything brushing against the hull is likely to bring instant death. You kinda have to wonder how they missed the obvious energy cloud right in their path.
But it's good to see you're up. Feels like centuries since we spoke.
Oh, har har with a witty humor.
Helm control, report. We're drifting.
We're coming through.
Just a moment ago, you said you had lost control and the Ark was drifting. Now the ship has somehow drifted right out of the Scourge cloud without colliding with it again, and you ended up next to the planet you plan to colonize.
All of our long-range scans told us it was in the green zone. Perfect for human settlement.
When you consider the speed of light and the distance between the Andromeda galaxy and the Milky Way, any information you had on these planets would have been 2.5 million years out of date, since that's how long it would take light from Andromeda to reach Earth. A lot can happen to a planet in that amount of time. Why would you ever launch a one-way colonization effort based on such old information?
We're marooned. 20,000 souls adrift at sea.
Space.
Your mom would have been proud of both of you.
Video game parents continue to have the most dangerous job in the galaxy.
I chose each of you for the Pathfinder team, not just because you're talented and passionate, but because you're dreamers, like me.
Well, 2 of you are my children, but that's simply a coincidence. Apparently humans can create starships that can travel to distant galaxies, but can't figure out how to protect their aircraft from lightning strikes.
Your jump jet is malfunctioning.
Get it working!
How would an AI get your jump jet working again mid-fall? Did you not download the latest driver?
You think that energy cloud we saw could cause all this?
Sam said it's dark energy, but that's in space.
Yeah, hell of a cloud.
A cloud that makes boulders float.
I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you right now that the Scourge, this dark energy cloud that's destroying planets in Andromeda, is never explained in this game despite it being so important.
What the hell is that?
I believe that is called an Inception Buon machine. I always wondered what that instrument would look like, and this is pretty much what I pictured. After journeying to a new galaxy, the first aliens humanity meets turn out to be hostile, and the first encounter ends in a shooting match. I can see why this story needed to be told in another galaxy.
Liam, enough.
Right. It's just these assholes kill Kirkland.
I hear you, but this isn't the time to lose our cool.
Now I feel better.
And that is how you make a great first impression with an alien species. Liam was selected to be part of the Pathfinder team, someone who might come into contact with aliens. Yet he acts like this is his 3rd tour in Nam.
It's them or us.
Oh, it's them. Problem is we're outnumbered.
I've been working on that. We just need to change the math.
Destroying the lightning rod so lightning can strike the shield generators and bring it down does not decrease enemy numbers at all. It just allows you to get in.
What now?
I need to decipher the language.
You cannot decipher an alien language without some form of reference.
Sam, begin translating.
Of what? A triangle? They actually survived this. That was a cliff they were just thrown off at high speed.
Spinning up the shuttle. ETA is 3, maybe 4 minutes.
We don't have that long.
There's really no reason for Ryder's dad Alec to die here. They could swap his helmet back and forth for the 4 minutes it would take for evac to arrive. After all, the major issue for this planet is low oxygen levels. BioWare might want to take a second look at the past work history of some of their employees, because I think they might have hired the animator from The Legend of Zelda: The Wand of Gamelon by mistake.
My father. Where?
It was your life or his. And he chose you.
Apparently, he had never heard of the buddy system before and decided to suffocate instead of sharing his oxygen mask. Straighten out her damn lazy eye. It's subtle, but just enough to freak me out.
Your father authorized the transfer of Pathfinder authority to you.
Shouldn't that be Cora?
In theory. In reality, you're the new Pathfinder, Sarah.
No one considers the Pathfinder choosing his daughter to take his place instead of following the chain of command to be nepotism.
You saw my dad in action. It takes years to become a Pathfinder.
Don't worry, this is the exact same thing BioWare does in many of its games. Start off with a character who's new on the job at training under someone experienced, then said experienced person dies and passes along their title to the new kid. In fact, since we're on the topic, let's just point out that BioWare has been writing the same sci-fi plot since KOTOR. KOTOR, Mass Effect, and now Mass Effect Andromeda are all about someone being thrust into a situation with inadequate training for their role in a race against time against a villain looking for some ancient MacGuffin built by long-dead aliens.
It's the forward hub for the entire Andromeda initiative.
Construction should have been finished by now.
Why would you send a half-finished space station to Andromeda? Complete it first, then send it. Expecting the colonists to find the materials to complete a space station nearly as big as the Citadel is ridiculous.
All right. I got us here. Good luck, Pathfinder.
Ryder's body language in this scene comes off as, "Can you believe this bitch?" But her very next line is actually this.
Captain just called me Pathfinder. This is really happening.
It's almost like the animators and writers were working off two different scripts.
Where's the Pathfinder?
You're looking at her.
You're not Alec Ryder.
My father's dead. He made me his successor.
Alec is dead.
In a few years, people will argue this game was meant as a comedy. The good old "tell me why so" is the room argument. Ironically, both can be entertaining with enough weed. Also, that's the response of someone who found out that her father sacrificed himself to save her just 10 minutes ago. The delivery is so wooden in this game, I feel the devs could have saved a lot of money by using text-to-speech instead of actors. Here, I'll prove it.
Was the Pathfinder?
You're looking at her.
You're not Alec Ryder.
My father is dead. He made me his successor. Alec Ryder is dead.
None of the Golden Worlds panned out. They're a bust, now more than ever. We need a Pathfinder.
Let me just describe what a Pathfinder does. They look at a world and say, yeah, I think we could live there. There is nothing all that special about a Pathfinder. Instead of looking for a world to live on after all their Golden Worlds failed to pan out, everyone on the Nexus has been sitting on their hands because they had no Pathfinder, which was kind of a big oversight on the part of the initiative. They sent one Pathfinder with every arc, but none with the Nexus, which was the first ship scheduled to arrive.
Hope they haven't scared you off already.
It's nothing personal, but now isn't the time for on-the-job training.
At least the Pathfinder here seems willing to try. We could use a fresh perspective.
You've heard my concerns. I'll leave you to it.
The conversations in this game are an exercise in passive aggression. One character will state their opposition to something some other character said, the other character will acknowledge that opposition, then one character will walk away while acknowledging the acknowledgement, and then nothing will ever come of it. That is not how you exit a scene. Ever. She walked behind the Krogan and just disappeared. If you were going to despawn a character from a cutscene, just have her walk out of the frame. It's that simple.
All right, what happened?
To who?
To whom?
Is this really the time to parse someone's grammar?
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
You know that gif from Spider-Man where J. Jonah Jameson throws his head back in laughter? This game is making me do that every few minutes. Half of the characters in this game look like they were attacked by a swarm of angry Botox injectors. The other half are so over-animated that they look like schizophrenics constantly searching for the source of the voices in their head.
You've had no colony successes in over a year? How many tries is that?
Less than you'd think.
Fewer. Fewer than you would think. See, this is why no one likes grammar Nazis. Everyone would understand your intention with that line even though it's incorrect, but I'm the only asshole that bothered to point it out. That is one uncomfortable workstation. I've used standing desks before, but those at least come up to your waist, while this one stops at your knees.
You need to increase the viability of the planet so we can establish an outpost. There are 6 worlds we hope to settle.
Okay, but you said every planet you found is unlivable, so how do I...
A good Pathfinder would relish the challenge of solving it.
You were essentially expecting one person to terraform 6 different non-viable planets in a short period of time. If it wasn't for the fact that each one of those planets has an atmospheric processor on it, like the one they found back on Habitat 7, this would be an impossible task.
She doesn't know you. I do. And you're doing fine.
Easy to say when she hasn't done anything yet since becoming the Pathfinder. I would normally only expect messed up camera shots like this in a cell phone video, but this is a game with a $40 million budget and they can't even use their camera correctly.
What did the doctor say?
He told me to appreciate the time I have left. There's no cure, Alec. It's terminal.
Ryder's mom gave her husband the worst possible news like she's discussing some bad weather.
They call her the Tempest.
With a face like that, you would think this is her first time seeing a spaceship. Hi, I'll be the female Garrus. I even have a scouter over my eyes like he did. You might want to consider turning down the exposure on the lights for your cutscenes. Otherwise, you get an overexposed mess like this that only highlights how messed up Ryder's face is. The cluster map does a remarkable job of wasting your time by forcing you to watch travel animations every single time you travel to a new planet. You will stop scanning planets after just 5 minutes of this garbage since it takes so long to travel between them. I'm going to run out of ways to describe people's faces in this game. For this scene, let's go with Ryder looks like a poorly controlled sock puppet. They say not to judge a book by its cover, but when that cover is making faces at you while reading, no one will hold it against you if you do. For the past 3 games, Asari have always maintained this air of being the most sophisticated and cultured species in the galaxy. All of that was thrown out the window by one mouth-breathing scientist. PB's done more damage to the Asari reputation than every single cage dancer on the Citadel.
I might just be the solution to all your problems.
If you are going to recycle animations, don't recycle that one. Let's compare the crew in the first Mass Effect with Andromeda's. You have the 2 humans that you never use past the first mission, the stoic, hard-ass Turian with a scouter, the Asari researcher studying ancient alien artifacts, and an old battle-hardened Krogan. They didn't even try, did they?
Oh, crap.
Holding your gun backwards did not prevent PB from firing it normally. Ancient aliens were apparently fond of Sudoku. I, on the other hand, am not fond of Sudoku.
Do your Pathfinder thing. Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start blaming Joss Whedon for popularizing this style of dialogue.
A symbol of authority? A key? It's easy to speculate with Remnant, but we need more facts. I'll see what I can find on this beauty. Maybe over this way.
This is the worst excuse for splitting up the team I have ever seen. What's this thing? Let me go off in the other direction, away from the only person who can activate Remnant tech. Was this really how the Remnant designed their atmospheric processors to work? By having a terminal at the center of the vault that once activated, creates a purification cloud right in front of you that destroys anything organic in the vault that you then have to flee. Alien space maps are a reoccurring trope in BioWare games.
You already have a lead on something else?
The nav point. From the vault.
I haven't seen robotic yet bloated facial animation like this since the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Have I mentioned the faces enough now?
No, I mean, I think you're cute and I like seeing you up here. Oh my goodness, Ryder! Also, the accent. The accent is, I mean, it's not the only thing, but, okay, I should just go over there to the piloting thing.
Kill me now.
Someone wrote this. Someone else edited it. Actors were hired to voice it. An audio engineer mastered it. Someone animated it. Someone playtested it. Yet they still released the game with this scene in it. Not only does this shot murder the rule of thirds, it's also out of focus.
Is Dad okay?
I'm not sure how to say this, but he's dead, Scott.
What?
There was an accident.
What do you... Accident? How? I mean, Dad...
I know.
Well, at least Sarah's brother Scott, while in a coma mind you, managed to have an appropriate emotional response to that news.
We're on a collision course with unknown objects.
Make corrections. Sam, are you on this?
Collision is imminent.
I'll stop now!
Somehow the Ket knew that the person they were looking for who opened the vault would be flying through this patch of space and at this time, and they were waiting for them. Do I even need to point out how unlikely that is without someone on the inside feeding them information? Which there isn't.
They've got us pinned against the Scourge.
How do they have you pinned against the Scourge? You just came out of FTL because you were on a collision course with the Ket ship. If the Scourge is behind you, then that means you would have collided with that already.
Where is the one who activated the remnant?
Oh. So you can speak English, can you? The British Empire really spread that language around better than we thought.
Their DNA signature is there.
You scanned a ship while I was traveling faster than light speeds for a DNA signature you wouldn't even have? Ryder's DNA wouldn't even match the scan since it was her father who activated the Remnant Vault on Habitat 7.
I have plotted a potential course through the Scourge.
Do it!
You mean the Scourge you just flew through?
Where'd we end up anyway?
Sensors are damaged, but I think we're at the vault's coordinates.
How would you be at where you were going? You flew back through the Scourge that you came out of warp in front of. That means you overshot your original destination.
Tov Jagalesto. Tov Jagalesto.
The Angarans also speak English, except for when they intercept the Tempest. Bots start speaking the language once Ryder meets them and will speak English for the rest of the game. You can scream Universal Translator all you want, but this is still some bullshit.
I'm Paran Shai, Governor of Aya.
Ephra saw this ship come in and sent me to find out what's going on.
The devs had a real hard time figuring out which accent to give the Angarans. They use English, South African, and even Australian at times.
Follow closely. Do not try to explore the city or interact with anyone.
So that's what they meant by open world game design.
There's a vault out there, but it was shut years ago and the entrance hidden. We can't help you. The Moshai could.
All of the vaults are already shut and Ryder has the ability to open them due to Sam. Whatever method the Moshai used to close it shouldn't be something that can't be undone by anyone but her. But this is just a way to pad the game by making you visit 2 other locations to save her.
And now we have another mouth to feed, whatever he eats.
Did the translators not work?
They work.
Well, they certainly weren't working when you landed on this planet.
The resistance is stretched thin. I was tasked with traveling to 2 of our worlds at our briefing this morning.
You just said you could go with Ryder because Ephra can spare you right now. Now you're tasked with 2 important missions that just so happen to correspond with what Ryder needs to do to prove herself and rescue the Moshai. You saw the same flying animals back on Habitat 7. Strange how the same species is on 2 different planets. So we had a desert world, a jungle world, and now an ice world. You might want to save a few of those Star Wars locations for the next game. How does the Scourge cause such wildly varying damage to planets? Habitat 7 lost most of its oxygen and was blasted by storms. Eos was turned into a radioactive desert, and Vold is frozen. Shouldn't it be a bit more uniform?
You're welcome here as an ally of the Angara.
I appreciate the warm welcome. It's a joke. To break the ice. Get it? Warm welcome. Nice.
At this point, I am no longer angry at how poorly the characters are animated and written. I've come full circle to bemusement. It's like that moment when your wiener dog crawls into the sweater you left on the floor and walks around with its head sticking out the neck. You just can't help but chuckle at it for reminding you somewhat of a human being. That is some quality mission design right there. Shut down 3 generators so you can shut down a security terminal, then shut down 3 refueling platforms, but before you can do that, you have to shut down 3 override terminals just so you can activate another terminal that controls an elevator to another terminal that disables the shields to an entirely different base. Just look at all the crap on the HUD. I'm glad I zoned out for this part of the game.
Help me! Please! I have a family!
They actually pull out the "I have a family" line from the NPC who might die. This Angaran AI will never do anything even if you take it back to the Nexus. In fact, I completely forgot I had saved it until I reviewed this footage.
Because of status or species?
Maybe it's both.
Do all humans look alike?
Some of you sound alike.
This is only the 3rd most awkward racist off I've ever been party to. I can sort of understand the logic of figuring out what alien cultures consider racist so you can avoid it, but why do they have to remove their clothes to do it?
Jarl says you want to help find the Moshai. Why should I let you?
My personal code is, I got this.
This sounds like an answer you would give during a job interview that's going badly, right before the manager tells you that they'll be in touch.
Impossible! Archon! Explain!
The Archon is not currently at this Ket base. He's presumably on his ship light years away. Yet he still knows the second an explosion happens inside it and is on the holophone to get a sitrep. Not content with retreading the opening of Mass Effect 1, the game is now taking from the second half of Mass Effect 2 with a group of enemies that turn other species into themselves. If we get a color-coded ending, we can relive the entire trilogy in one game. You guys have no idea how many sins I'm passing on during the optional crew conversations and side missions. I'd need a whole other video to cover that.
There's always been an active display for Aya, but we could never affect it.
It should be pointed out that humans figured out a way to activate remnant tech minutes after discovering it, something neither the Ket nor the Angaran could do after hundreds of years.
This image was on a relic the Archon showed me. He called it Meridian.
Why would the Archon ever show you something that important and then describe it? In fact, why bother torturing you hoping you would tell him how to use it when he could have just exalted you and turned you into a cat so you would do it willingly?
If we can get to Meridian, maybe we can turn everything on from there. Make Helios live.
Why would ancient aliens build terraforming machines across all the planets of the Helios star cluster but never bother activating them before disappearing? I remember asking myself that same question when I watched Total Recall and wondered why the Martians never started the reactor they built. I'm beginning to think the Milky Way didn't send its best and brightest to settle this new galaxy, but treated it more like an Australian penal colony since they already have a hive of scum and villainy set up.
You work for the Initiative. Sloane was part of the uprising on the Nexus. I doubt she'll give Ven up easily.
He says before she does, and then Ryder leaves the planet with the information on the Archon ship that she came for with hardly any difficulty.
Got my orders from a Ket transponder. But you could use its frequency to triangulate the Archon's location.
That is not how triangulation works. Notice the words try and angle. You need more than the iPad you received a Ket message on to fix a location. You need at least 2 more signals from 2 different locations to triangulate.
I knew running off to Andromeda would be dangerous, but shit. This is dangerous.
Only if we die.
I think it's time for some more text-to-speech.
I knew running off to Andromeda would be dangerous. But shit. This is dangerous.
Only if we die.
The Archon ship is anchored to the Solarian Ark, which was captured some time ago, since the Solarian Ark was due to arrive ahead of the human Ark. Yet the Archon ship has already been seen in multiple different systems without it, so it's apparently been coming back here again and again to do a whole lot of nothing with the captured Solarians.
A hostile species, an armada, set upon us. Our captain saw no choice but surrender. Said we'd live to fight another day. He convinced me to hide in the general population and to dismantle my SAM so we wouldn't fall into enemy hands.
You surrendered a ship full of Solarians in cryostasis who had no idea what was happening. You can't live to fight another day when you're frozen at the start of the first fight. The captain even had the Solarian Pathfinder fake her death and go back into cryo where she could do absolutely nothing.
Ryder, caution.
If you had this tech, you should have deployed it earlier. If Ryder was any more robotic looking, this would look like injecting a practice dummy in med school.
Any idea how to break out of this?
The containment fields only interact with living matter. If you expire, the field around you will extinguish until manually reset, stopping your heart. I would attempt to resuscitate, of course.
Even if you stop Ryder's heart, she's not actually dead. It takes another 5 minutes for the brain to die and several hours for cellular activity to cease. It would be more accurate to say this stasis field only looks for a heartbeat. Ryder is clearly not staring at the Archon's hologram, but somewhere off to his side.
I'm better equipped to handle it than you.
Why? Because you have artificial intelligence in your head explaining it.
Well, yeah, exactly. That means she's better equipped. I guess you're trying to make it sound like she doesn't deserve it. If the Archon can't use remnant tech, how did he ever find Meridian using the artifact? That also required Sam to activate. You are in low orbit around a gas giant without a helmet. You should all be dying right now.
He had a map showing the location of Meridian. Now we have it, and a short window to get there. It's the control center for the terraforming network. If we get that working, all our problems are solved.
That is a theory at best. You were doing all this on the theory that Meridian will activate the terraforming vaults across the Helios cluster.
Enemy signature detected. Commence pursuit.
I'm pretty sure the Kett can still use their eyes to see if there are multiple ships approaching Meridian or just this one. Somehow it's raining on a space station.
The hub is connected to the 2 neighboring towers.
So activating the towers will also activate the command hub.
Every mission in this game involves you hitting a series of switches at this point.
They made life. What if the Archon could use Meridian to destroy life?
I think this game released at the worst possible time by coming after Horizon Zero Dawn. Both are about terraforming planets to be habitable. Both use an advanced but dead civilization and AI as plot points. Both have a villain that wants to use terraforming as a weapon. Both use the same dialogue tree system and similar third-person combat. And both rely heavily on holograms and voice recordings to dump info.
Sam! Now!
That is not how a human mouth functions.
Meridian, set on a path its creators, disrupted by the Scourge, now lost. An unmanned ship is at the mercy of ocean currents. Now, think of Meridian as the ship, and the Scourge as the ocean. If we can somehow predict the currents and track them, we could figure out where the ocean's taken the ship.
Meridian disappeared hundreds of years ago, and as we've seen, the Scourge has expanded quite a bit since then. So whatever conditions that alter the trajectory of Meridian no longer exist, so these present-day corrections would not lead you to wherever Meridian ended up. It's not quite the same as activating 3 terminals, but shooting 3 probes into the Scourge to locate Meridian is not far off.
I think you'll like this.
I'm pretty certain tripping with a Turium would get quite painful. That's it? Some kissing noises over a black screen? I haven't been this disappointed since Tali gave me a stock photo of herself.
Congratulations, Pathfinder. A great day for us all.
Apparently no one thought it might be a good idea to remove whatever it was the Archon injected Ryder with several missions ago. Paying the price for that one now, aren't you?
Once I saw what made you special, your connection, I knew how and when to take it from you. All I need to start is an implant like yours. And thanks to your memories, I know who else has one.
Somehow the Archon deduced that Ryder's brother Scott also has a SAM implant from one lo-fi image he grabbed from Ryder's memories after he injected her with a biological scanner. Without Sam, Ryder shouldn't be able to activate Remnant tech, but through sheer willpower, I'm guessing, she still can and fly Remnant spacecraft to fight for or against the Archon.
Using Remnant without Sam hurts you. A lot.
And it won't come into play at all. In fact, this is the only time it will be brought up.
It created life, and yet only I see its full potential. And I even have the means to achieve it. Using you.
You really don't have to explain any of this to Scott, and it's way too late in the game to be developing his character. But villain got a monologue boner, so I guess he had to scratch.
Rock in a hard place, Ryder. I don't know which is worse, the Scourge or the Kett.
The Scourge and the Kett.
Is there a name for when someone mentions something offhand, and that somehow gives the hero a sudden and brilliant idea to overcome the odds? Because it needs one. I'm not really sure what Ryder did. It looks like she got the Scourge to follow her, and that somehow tied up the Archon's fleet. Yet the Scourge has never once moved to follow a ship until now, and we've seen ships crash into the stuff. This sounds more like someone stumping their toe than having their brain scrambled. The last level inside a giant Dyson sphere is pretty damn cool, but I have to wonder where all this sunlight is coming from inside a closed sphere. Still messing up the focus, I see. Someone forgot to animate Aphra in front of the door. Do they train captains to bring their ships down in front of cliffs? It happens way too often to be an accident.
You're out of time. I've matched you every step. You failed, Archon. You're the pretender.
He's right there controlling the entire network. Maybe save the absolutes for when he's dying.
It's all going straight through him. Shut down the interfaces. He'll have nothing to draw.
Defeat the final boss by what else? Activate 3 fucking terminals. I honestly expected that to lead into a Vader-style no. I know I already brought up Total Recall once before, but you can't tell me this ending doesn't remind you of that movie. Not only if this would fade to white because it was all a dream, and back in reality I was lobotomized. Sequel baiting.